In 2012, the Republican National Convention was held in Tampa, Florida. The city of Tampa was on high alert because of radical groups like Occupy Wall Street, the Black Panther Party, and fringe groups like the Westboro Baptist Church. Weeks before the convention, radical groups were making threats all over social media to create problems at the convention. These groups were preparing to go to war with police in the streets. Their goal was to create anarchy with Saul Alinsky radical tactics that they hoped would ultimately shut it down. The political leadership in Tampa was mostly worried about Occupy Wall Street because of how violent the group was a week earlier at the NATO summit in Chicago in 2012. The group had many confrontations with Chicago police over those couple of days. I was in 2 Black Bloc type actions over a 2-day period with these groups. These people were serious about making their points through mob action, but it was really about putting fear into the political leadership. On the first day, Occupy Wall Street descended upon the RNC Convention like a conquering army. They were all revved up and ready to battle the police. Their numbers on that first day were many. As they marched towards the convention center, it seemed like clear sailing until they got within 6 blocks of the convention center. The helicopters could be heard and then seen as they moved directly over the protesters. That's when they knew the police were waiting. What protesters didn't know was Tampa police were prepared for them and waiting in large numbers. The Tampa police chief knew that a massive show of force was the only way to derail the planned violence that was coming.
Well, we've been preparing for a year and a half, as I said, and a great deal of our success is going to be predicated on the relationships we have in law enforcement.
When protesters hit the heart of the city, the police were everywhere you looked. It was now clear to the protesters that the city of Tampa was not fucking around and was not going to tolerate their antics. The protesters tried their hardest to provoke the police, but the sheer numbers and the sight of fully militarized police seemed to just take the wind out of their sails. Protesters were so pissed off at the large police presence that they took their anger out on RNC delegates and attendees.
Prepare for the Civil War, jackasses! I'll be going in your houses! I have a job! Vote for you voted for endless war! I got a job! Get over here! Whose street? Our street! Whose street? Our street! We paid for him, you asshole! No, we paid for him! You fucked up our money! You paid for nothing! Hey, tell her to put a black dildo away and stop out there hinky crazy. You don't pay for nothing! We paid for you! Hey, your wife!
Due to the overwhelming police presence and the tactic called corralling, the police kept the protesters in check like a large group of cattle being moved across the plains. This tactic kept the violence in check and ultimately tired out the protesters. Maggio News took some time out to sit down with 2 Black Bloc anarchists and 6 Occupy Wall Street protesters for an interview. In the interview, the group could not help showing their frustration over the large police presence that was stopping them from destroying property in downtown Tampa. A couple of other Black Bloc Occupy Wall Street members were so mad they told me something that made my day.
You get into it, I want to talk about police state. Since we started this interview, you've heard a helicopter fly around here several times. That helicopter's been up watching essentially 100 people peacefully camp. They've spent millions and millions of dollars.
$50 million to the PD to have everything they need to keep us from talking to anybody. They might as well send us some more millions to get us all to leave and go to Europe, you know?
Yeah, we will gladly take plane tickets to leave this country and go to where the people are actually rising up and in the streets and not apathetic.
The Republican National Convention was mostly peaceful. There were minimal arrests only because of the staggering number of police officers that were brought in from all over the state to keep the peace. When the Occupy protesters left Tampa the last day, they looked beaten and broken. A couple of days later, I arrived at the Democrat National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the same members of the Occupy movement had arrived in force and once again were well rested and ready to make trouble for the Democrats who support them and their cause.
You are not represented at all. You people are better than the party.
When I entered the city of Charlotte, to my surprise, I saw more police officers in Charlotte than I did in Tampa. This larger display of force was so telling to me. What it revealed to me was Democrats were clearly scared of their own creation. Ronald Reagan said, "Peace through strength." I only hope the leaders in Cleveland and Philadelphia will follow Ronald Reagan's wise words and will go to the same lengths as the leadership did in Tampa and Charlotte to stop these people from destroying their cities. Past history has shown us what groups like the Black Lives Matter and the Black Panthers are all about. Their hearts are filled with hate and racism. They are coming to the conventions to do one thing and one thing only: disrupt and destroy.